This review has been approved by Lord Carnage. Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the intergalactic space arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. Welcome to Classic Game Room for the review of the Retron 5 video game system. Is it good? Is it bad? Let's find out. It does come with a pack of stickers that you can stick on things. Let's go have some fun. The top of the sticker should say, "I'm not supported by the Retron 5. No 3DO." May as well just end the review here. This is the Retron 5 video game console from Hyperkin, a game system that plays at least 5 different kinds of video games, but as you'll see, it does even more than that. And there's quite a bit of controversy surrounding this thing on the internet. Controversy over a video game system. If you're fortunate enough to find controversy in video games, you're doing pretty well in life. I have running water, but damn it, it doesn't play GameCube. Grr. Well, no it doesn't, but what it does do is play Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Nintendo Entertainment System, Famicom, and Game Boy Advance. And a few more including Sega Master System, Super Famicom, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color. It also works with the real controllers, the old school NES, Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis gamepads. Which is good because the controller this comes with is horrible. Sadly, you can't throw it away though because you need it to control the Retron 5. Now let's see if this plays Fairchild Channel F. No, a major oversight. Come on, Hyperkin. Also, where's the analog video outputs? This does HDMI, and just HDMI, and that's fine if all you have is an LCD or flat screen or whatever, but old school purists are gonna hate this thing. If you refuse to play Sega Genesis on anything less than an actual Genesis, just forget the Retron 5. What it really does is somewhat unclear to me. I thought it played emulated versions of the games. Everyone tells me I'm wrong, it rips the ROMs off the game cartridges or something. I don't know. It definitely doesn't work the same way a real Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo does because it's outputting digital versions of the game through HDMI. And it's interesting, this is like an imperfect solution to a problem that you would be lucky to have. I have 1,000 video games across 10 different platforms, but I don't have the game consoles to play it. Well, the Retron 5 will do that for you. It plays just about anything you throw at it, provided it's not a Neo Geo. Now, I've been tinkering with this for a few weeks now. There's some things I like about it and stuff I don't like about it. For starters, it looks and feels really cheap. The controller that it comes with is terrible. Its only function is to navigate the menus in the Retron 5. To play any of the games, you'll want the real controllers. It seems defective coming out of the box because it says to push the power button to turn on the Retron 5 when in fact you need to hold down the power button for about 5 seconds. Do that before you return it. Although you may want to return it anyway after you realize it's nearly impossible to get games out of this once they're inserted. It just holds onto them for dear life and refuses to let go. Which is fine if all you want to play is Thunder Force 2, because why would you stop playing Thunder Force 2? The thing is, it just feels wrong. Something about this is strange. It's not playing the games the normal way, which is why it won't play Pure Solar for the Sega Genesis. So it's like this strange paradox. It looks great on an LCD screen. It does. It really looks good. And they give you lots of different filter options and scanline options and stuff, and it's in glorious HD, but it has that pure digital emulated look, which isn't real. I don't have an engineering term for you. I draw a comic book about a squid that flies in space. That's as deep as I get. So just know that it won't play your games through analog. There is no analog. On the plus side, it does play PAL, it plays Super Famicom, it plays Japanese Game Boy. It even works with the Sega Genesis power base converter so you can play Sega Master System games. Have you ever wanted to play Game Boy with a Sega Genesis controller? Yes, you can do that. So, the Retron 5 has some tricks up its sleeve. And it'll save your games onto an SD card, allowing you to have backups. Although that did totally freak me out the first time I put Super Metroid in, and it like ripped my save game data onto the Retron 5 and erased it off my Super Metroid cartridge. And I was about to stomp on this thing until I figured out I could copy it back onto the game cartridge. I have no idea how they do this. In any event, if it seems like you've lost your save game data, check the menus. It's most likely in the Retron 5. It's out to destroy you. So anyway, it does work. Although I'm a little confused about who the market is for this, because real old school collectors are going to have all the old game systems, and the casual audience just looking to play some old school games on their big screen TV are going to be let down by the awful controller that it comes with. But that's not to say it doesn't work. It does work. It plays the games, somehow. So if you're going to give this as a gift to a friend, a relative, or whatever, make sure to send along a real Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo controller, so they can actually enjoy the games. And yes, in many cases you can play NES and Game Boy with a Sega Genesis gamepad. Let's feed the bunny those things. I don't know what that is. Soylent Green! Rabbits love people! Protein. It does do a few things really well. For starters, the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy Color output is stunning. There's no borders around the screen. It looks great. I love this thing for the Game Boy games. That's probably its biggest strength, for me at least. Game Boy and Game Boy Advance over HDMI with no borders. I like that. I also like that it plays PAL, Super Nintendo, and Super Famicom. I like that after you figure it out, you can back up your save game data. The Retron 5 has its place, but it's really up to you to decide where that place is. So on that note, I've got a huge classic game room shout out and thank you to send to Ahmed from Springfield Gardens, New York, for sending this to the show. Thank you, Ahmed, once again. I hope this cleared up some of the mystery out there surrounding the Retron 5. It does not do analog video output. It's HDMI only. And it doesn't play Neo Geo, Sega CD, Famicom Disk, Gamecom, Fairchild, Channel F, or Vita or PlayStation, Magnavox Odyssey, 2 Xbox One. What the hell does it do? You know, just screw it all. Buy a Neo Geo. And now the rabbit is passed out after eating all that Soylent Green.